to say at the outset how honored I am to be invited to speak today and to review some of the aspects of the youth justice system in Canada. As a Canadian, of course, I'm proud of our system. We have a lot of challenges, but in many ways, I think our criminal justice system, particularly as it pertains to young people, is a very good one. By way of introduction, my name is Brian Escali. I was a lawyer for a period of some 30 years, starting in 1973. And I initially practiced in the area of adult criminal law for 5 years. And then with the support and assistance of a wonderful administrative assistant, she convinced me that perhaps I should engage in doing some family law. And that led to also doing some child welfare law. And that was really the focus of my practice then for those some 30 years. When I would say in the last 20 years of those years, I focused on often representing young people, children, youth, that were involved in litigation and family litigation, in child welfare litigation. I also represented parents, both in the domestic world and the child welfare litigation. But I kept my focus, and probably the majority of my practice revolved around criminal law, and particularly representing young people in the criminal justice system. In 2003, I was appointed to the bench and was asked to sit at a court in downtown Toronto. It's known as the 311 Jarvis Court. It is an intercity court and deals with many issues that relate to poverty, discrimination, and has its challenges, but it was a remarkable experience. I had the privilege of sitting with 6 other judges who were amazing human beings. And we practiced at that court, or presided at that court, in those 3 jurisdictions of criminal as it pertained to young people, family, domestic, custody, access, support, and child welfare. It was, as a result, quite an easy transition for me from my practice as a lawyer to becoming a judge. I've been asked today to speak to you and to review the youth criminal justice system as it exists in Canada, and particularly from my experience, of course, it's going to be with a focus on Ontario, and I'm very pleased to do that. Canada has had a separate system of justice for children and youth since 1908. The first legislation was enacted in 1908. It was called the Juvenile Delinquents Act, and it continued from 1908 till 1984. The age jurisdiction, remarkably, they were charging and bringing children before the court as young as 7 years of age, and I did represent some children as young as 8 and 9. It was somewhat ludicrous to be holding them criminally responsible, and that eventually was recognized. The court was very informal. There were very few legal rights or protections for children and youth appearing there. The concept was very much a child welfare concept, in that the view was, well, these were problem children and that there needed to be intervention by the state to address their behavior and correct their behavior. The fact that there were limited legal rights allowed for considerable abuse. One of the dispositions of the court was known as adjourning something sine die, without a return date specified. And sometimes young people, age 11, 12, 13, 14, would be sent to training school with the concept that their behavior was going to be corrected at the training school, but there was no specific return date necessarily. And it was left to the state to determine when they should be brought back before the court to perhaps have that referral changed. Tragically, when state authority is put in a position to take care of children, abuse, neglect, physical, sexual, psychological, can take place, and it did happen in those training schools. It wasn't nearly as difficult, nor nearly as pervasive as the abuse that was experienced by Indigenous persons in our country in the over 100 years that they suffered in residential schools, but it was significant. With that background, in 1984, determination was made that young people, children and youth, needed to have legal rights and legal protections if their liberty was at stake, and indeed it had been. So the Young Offenders Act was enacted, and it continued until 2003. Legal rights were provided, protections were provided. There were specific provisions that pertained to young persons. However, there was limited education of the judges, the crowns, the defense counsel, the service providers to the concept that this was truly a separate system from an adult system, and that special consideration should be given to young people and children before the court on the basis of their lack of maturity. With the absence of that training, unfortunately, judges who primarily sat in the adult criminal court tended to sentence young persons, particularly those age 15 through 18, to incarceration at an alarming rate. In fact, at a rate that was per capita higher than any other country of those countries known as democratic countries. Canada was criticized on the floor of the United Nations. And that sparked, I guess, or promoted or encouraged the federal government in 2003 to enact the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Many of the provisions that had been provided in the Young Offenders Act were continued in the Youth Criminal Justice Act, but there were special provisions made to ensure privacy, protection of rights, and appropriate sentencing, and very particularly to address the overuse of detention and custody. Age jurisdiction was 12 to 18. I should have mentioned, under the Young Offenders Act, it was similar, 12 to 18. In the preamble to the legislation, the Youth Criminal Justice Act, it noted that Canada was a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And that set a tone or a parameter, if you like, for how the act was to be administered. It was noted that the principle of diminished moral blameworthiness or culpability was to guide all administration within the legislation. In 2008, there was a landmark decision, Regina and DB. The justice who wrote the majority decision, Justice Rosalie Abella, interestingly enough, her first position as a judge was at 311 Jarvis Street, presiding in all three of those jurisdictions, youth, criminal, family, and child welfare. It was a brilliant judgment and really set the parameters and established the essence of the administration of youth justice in our country. She noted that young people have heightened vulnerability, less maturity, and reduced capacity for moral judgment. She noted that they were entitled to the presumption of diminished moral blameworthiness or culpability, and noted that this was a fundamental principle of justice. That really changed the way that youth law was administered, adjudicated in our country. The legislation had been important. That decision underlined and enforced that legislation. General deterrence, which is a concept in the adult criminal justice system, concept being that charging and sentencing can act to be examples to others in the community that they shouldn't be involved in criminal offenses, doesn't exist in the youth criminal system. And that's a recognition that, as we know, science has now confirmed to us, that young people don't mature. Their impulse control, noted in the frontal lobe of the brain, doesn't really mature until about age 25. And so the classic question, what was she thinking? Well, of course, she really wasn't thinking when she acted. And that's reflected in the fact that general deterrence is recognized as not being of value as a sentencing principle in the youth criminal justice system. There are no presumptive offenses. The onus is always on the Crown to justify any intervention or appropriate disposition under the legislation. Young persons are noted to be entitled to procedural protections, including their right to privacy. And the general direction of the legislation is that in its application, the least restrictive measures that provide fair and proportionate accountability, reinforce respect for societal values, repair harm done to victims and the community, be part of the consideration and an important part of the consideration. But that said, any sentence or disposition of the court is to focus on sentences that will rehabilitate and reintegrate the young person back into the community. There are specific procedural protections. Under the legislation, a young person has, in the criminal process, has the right to independent counsel. And if necessary, the judge will appoint a lawyer to represent the young person. In Ontario, fortunately, that also exists in the child welfare system. And lawyers are appointed when a family is subject to state intervention, be it a child removed from the family or if there is a supervision of the child in the context of the family. Child before the court is guaranteed the right to have a lawyer. And that can be as young as, in some cases, it can be an infant. Of course, instructions can't be taken, but the lawyer is provided to represent the interests of the child and to make sure that those interests are brought forward and put to the court for the court's consideration. It's a great advantage. Certainly, I can tell you, sitting as a judge and having independent counsel for young persons is really a benefit. Any statement made by a young person to a person in authority has the conventional protections that exist in the adult criminal system. That is, they must be voluntary. Any statement must be voluntary. There's no obligation to make a statement. However, that principle of no obligation to make a statement must be made very clear to the young person when the young person has the opportunity to have a lawyer present, or a parent, or a guardian, or an adult of their choice. Those rights are guaranteed to a young person, that if they're in a position of being questioned by authority, that those persons must be made available to them. Not only that, to ensure that they understand their rights, explanation of the right to remain silent, their right to have a parent, guardian, lawyer present with them, is done on video or audio recording, unless it's not possible. And in my experience of 19 years on the bench, I never had such a situation. It was always on video or audio. And it has to be in language that's understandable to the young person. And that's a very important principle because, of course, in a country that has a great number of persons from other parts of the world, language is an issue. And it's very important that the young person understand their rights in a language that is appropriate to them, and appropriate in terms of their level of understanding of the English language, for instance, or in Quebec, perhaps French. There is a specific provision, very important one, and this is to address the over-detention of young people under the Young Offenders Act. There's a very specific provision that indicates that, or provides, that there can't be any detention or custody of a youth to address child protection, mental health, or other social measures. Under both the Juvenile Delinquents Act and the Young Offenders Act, there was a sense that judges were sentencing young people to custody to address social issues and behavioral issues. That is no longer possible. There's a direction not to do it in the legislation.